Welcome to another episode of the Video Creator Show. I am your host, Grant, and of course, this is the show where we talk about how to grow on YouTube and really online in general. Today, I'm speaking to a man named David Cox, and he is the creator of Tech Talk America, a channel that is teaching technology to the world. I'm pretty good with technology, but I know I'm not the only one who finds it frustrating, at least from time to time. Probably more than that, honestly. David has a gift for communicating how to use anything from a smartphone to a desktop with incredible clarity. Tech Talk America has over 760,000 subscribers and over 72 million total channel views. His website is techtalkamerica.com, where he offers one-on-one tech therapy sessions and more. I'll be speaking with David about how he built all of it. But first, you probably know the Video Creator Show is brought to you by VidChops.com, an editing service that helps take the burden of editing off your back. Check out VidChops.com, get an expert video editor on your team, and save yourself time and energy while taking your YouTube channel to the next level. David, thank you so much for being here today. Can you fill us in on your origin story? Why did you get started? I feel like that's a logical place to start.
That makes sense to me. And by the way, thank you, Grant, for having me on your show. Great to be here. Just started listening to your show, already a fan. So I got started, I was one of these kids who, when I was growing up, the classic young gay kid with a funny last name. I was not very popular growing up. I was a bit of a geek. And I really didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And so the thing that was kind of my savior was one day in middle school, I walked into my school's media room and there were a bunch of iMacs, the original ones, the colored ones. And I learned on the earliest versions of iMovie and started making videos. I made my high school video yearbook, which was an incredible experience.
Right on.
And then, back at the time, at that moment, I thought I wanted to be the next Steven Spielberg. I wanted to get into the film industry. I went to film school, big mistake, never should have gone. I've actually had parents pay me to try to talk their kids out of going to film school. But it was ultimately the thing is I love the craft of it. I didn't love the industry part of it.
Sure. Can you talk about why not to go to film school? I feel like this is a really pertinent subject for this podcast.
Hey, do you want to not be poor for ever? How's
yes,
that for
actually,
starters?
I would like that.
Is that a good selling point by itself? No, it's just, I felt like, when you're growing up, Hollywood is this big thing in your mind, and everything's fabulous and incredible. But then you get there and I guess the experience that I would share is I feel like the whole Harvey Weinstein thing really sums up Hollywood for me. It's just that there's a dark side to it. And I don't like that part of it. There are good people there, but there's this dark element to it. And I didn't like that. I like the craft of it. And so for me, I went there and I actually moved to Los Angeles and it really wasn't for me. And so kind of went through this breakup period and I ended up moving as far as you can get from Hollywood. I moved to Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I ended up managing an Apple computers dealership. I'd always been a big fan of Apple. My dad, I still have my 1985 Macintosh Plus. I don't think it turns on. If I do try to turn it on, the house will explode, but I still got it. And so I taught these classes, and that was when I realized I was really good at teaching tech specifically to people who did not identify as being tech savvy. So my audience for Tech Talk America is very much the 50 plus crowd. It's people who didn't grow up with this stuff. And I have a way of explaining it that they can follow, that they can understand. And so when that job ended, I did a lot of private tech work, still do a lot of private tech work. But suddenly it was like, oh, wait, here's a way to marry your two gifts. The two loves of your life can come together. We can have a little threesome. So I combined video production with teaching tech, and Tech Talk America was born.
Mm-hmm. That is beautiful. So I feel like there was a whole transformation here. By the way, I respect you even more knowing that you moved to Los Angeles and then decided that you hated it there. Because I personally despise that city on a fundamental level. Don't get me wrong, I've met plenty of cool people there. There are nice spots, but the city itself That's a whole
No.
other tangent. But
yeah, to quote Larry David, no.
Yes on the no. So you merged these two worlds. You started in as kind of the AV guy, and you tried to kind of go the traditional route of moving to LA, getting into the film industry, and then you sort of found your way into YouTube. Now, what to you is the main difference between being an online creator and being a sort of more traditional guy in the industry? Now, obviously, the main thing is you can kind of control your own destiny more easily. You have the keys to the castle. It's just sort of between you and the social media platforms. That's kind of the only relationship that is maybe in the way of like you succeeding. If you can appeal to the algorithm and make cool stuff, it seems more simple than like networking within an industry and sort of playing the games within it. But are there any other differences that you felt were really important that are worth highlighting?
I think for me, the biggest reason why I ended up going with YouTube is just it gave me the creative freedom to be able to build what I wanted on my terms. If I wanted to drop a joke in there, I could. I didn't need to ask permission. It's funny, growing up, I never, ever envisioned myself being an entrepreneur. And that is how it turned out. And I would never take it any other way. I love being able to work for myself. I love being able to work from home. When I was first starting out, I always had this dream of being able to like rent studio space. I moved to Palm Springs only about 2 years ago, and originally when I moved here, it was like that was the idea. It was like, okay, we're gonna rent studio space and we're gonna go big. And I just realized, you know what? This is so much nicer if I can just be home and have everything I need here. So the in my home, what is technically the master bedroom, was converted into a production studio. And so it's just worked out really, really well. I love being able to be my own boss. And I've heard other people on your show say similar things, but for me, this was never, ever about money. It was really just about, hey, look, you've got one life to live. You can either do what you love or you can do what you hate. And if you can do what you love and it can also make other people's lives a little bit better, that's the dream right there.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And I'm loving it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And how long did it take you to really start getting traction on YouTube?
It hit really fast. Mm-hmm. Was that something to be said about my videos, or was it the algorithm trying to say, come here, let's get you nice and addicted and don't ever stop making videos? Who's to say? But it happened pretty quick. I think it was only like my fourth or fifth video that I had uploaded, which was when I was kind of starting to get into the tutorial space, and it started doing really well. And so I started getting better at it. And it's like any craft that you do. You start off in one place and then you refine it. And I'm really proud of where I've been able to take it over time. I think it's, I haven't had these dramatic moments. It's been a very steady progression to get to where I am now. And yeah, I love getting to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds very healthy. Not the big spikes, ups and downs, and just a sort of gradual growth. I feel like that's sort of ideal in a way. Makes it easier to manage, harder to get addicted to, perhaps. So the next thing I want to talk to you about, you do something called tech therapy. These are kind of one-on-one sessions with clients. Now, your videos themselves, just subjectively for me, they do have a sort of therapeutic aspect. You explain things very clearly. Everything is well labeled. It has a sort of clean, clear presentation that even for somebody like me who doesn't struggle with technology at all, besides, technology goes wrong. And I think that frustrates everybody to a certain extent.
Right.
But the way that you present things in and of itself, and I do mean this, is therapeutic. It's there's something about it, and that is amazing. But walk us through, like, what does a typical session look like for that?
Sure. So the way that I look at it is a lot of us don't think about having a relationship with technology, and yet we do. Whether that relationship is healthy or not Well,
Probably
it's
not.
different. For a lot of people, it's not. And like I said, I appeal very much so to the 50 plus crowd. And a lot of these folks have adult kids who theoretically could help them, but there's two problems. One, they don't live at home anymore. Well, a couple problems. They don't have the time because they're busy living their own lives. And probably the biggest problem is that so many people out there who are technically savvy do not have the communication skills necessary to explain it to someone who is not tech savvy. And
Yes.
that takes patience. And, I got my training working with mostly seniors. So it was wonderful training wheels for me as far as figuring out how do I explain this? What's the right pace? Where do I interject a little dad joke, if you will, just to kind of break things up a little bit, and just keep it, keep you interested and hopefully let you walk away with something, having learned something new. The tech therapy sessions that I do, usually the way that they work is I start off with, there's a bunch of things that I know to look out for people. And one of the most important ones that I do with everyone, this is so critical that every single Apple user take the time to do, is to set up a legacy contact. So I'm very proud of the fact that I have helped thousands of people set up legacy contacts at this point. So
what is a legacy contact exactly?
I'm so glad you asked, Grant. Wow, that was great. You got that cue. So a legacy contact, look, we all know the importance of having a will. That way, when you die, there's a plan for what to do with your stuff, a legal plan for what to do with your stuff.
Right.
Likewise, you need to do the same thing for your stuff that lives inside of iCloud Drive. So the worst part of my job that I have to do is occasionally I work with parents who've lost their kids or kids who've lost their parents. And in both cases, they can't get into their data. So a legacy contact gives that person that authorization. So if you go on YouTube and search for how to create a digital will, my video will pop up. But it's actually about creating a legacy contact. So it's just a really important thing for everyone to do.
That's fascinating. And I think it speaks to how deep our relationship with technology goes, which is, so I'd like to kind of go deeper into that. When it comes to our relationship with technology, that is something that I think your mindset and realization that this even exists is one reason your channel has done so well, because you're aware of it and you're sort of catering to that understanding. What do you think most people's relationship with technology is like? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's, I'm sure it's kind of a mix of both, but I'm curious of your perspective on that.
Well, there's definitely a range. I think a lot of it depends on the age of the person. Young people today, they grow up with all this stuff, so they don't really need help with it. The only part where they need help is the addiction side of it, which isn't really there's nothing really I can do about. There's nothing I can do about that part. But as far as, a lot of the people who, like I said, did not grow up with technology, I feel like the general consensus is a lot of people feel like things evolve at an uncomfortable rate. And that's where it's such a joy and a pleasure for me to be able to create my video content to try to help them get caught up, so that things that could potentially benefit them that they don't know how to do, I can help teach them how to do it. So again, this is like a lot of what comes up in the tech therapy stuff is I ask them to create a list of like, what areas challenge you? What topics do you want to feel more confident in? And then we just dissect them. And it's all about these little appetizer sized tips and tricks that can help you do something a little bit easier. And there's a ton of them out there. So it's, yeah.
So it seems like between the generations, so older people, the 50 plus demographic, they, as you said, their relationship with technology is a feeling that it evolves too fast. It's hard to follow. It's kind of overwhelming, probably kind of scary. I mean, all this recent AI development, I'm sure, like even for me, well, I mostly think it's exciting, but I could see why somebody who is older perhaps would just feel like this is just too much. Whereas younger people, their relationship with technology, as you pointed out, there's a lot of addiction that goes on. Like, this gets talked about a lot. I think a lot of it is how algorithms work and the sort of trying to get you hits of dopamine that can make technology sort of toxic in a way. And I know I struggle. I mean, I scroll through YouTube Shorts too much. I have uninstalled and reinstalled TikTok a million times. And this is sort of a weird problem. Do you think like you would ever branch out into that sort of tech therapy side of things? I think, I don't know, maybe that would involve
that's not my place.
Just too
that's
much.
not my place. Plus, frankly, when people saw my amount of screen time, they'd be like, what are you talking about? You're not allowed to give me advice on this. You hypocrite. No, I mean, there's no question that everyone's addicted to their devices these days. And I think it's, at this point, it's like part of life. I mean, look, I feel like TikTok specifically really pushes as far as how much should an algorithm be able, how much can it have effect on you? I mean, when there was a study recently came out that said the average person watches 2 hours of TikTok videos a day. I mean, TikTok, I mean, the fact that TikTok is the #1 app in the App Store, it's like, well, yeah, if meth was an app, it would be #1 too, because they're all, you know, and it's not surprising to me. They're all doped up on it. Yeah. So this is the reason why I feel like if you're looking to create video content, it's really important to do something that you're actually passionate about and not just be chasing likes and views. It's just, it doesn't get you anywhere emotionally. And at the end of the day, you just kind of feel empty. So I love getting feedback, especially with some videos that I've made over the years, you know, just to be able to say like, hey, I helped make someone's life a little bit better. You know, it's really rewarding.
And how has this changed your perspective on your own life? Like being able to work for yourself and make your own decisions and not have to kind of exist in this rigid work structure. You know, you sidestepped the film industry and ended up doing your own thing and finding a successful niche that catered to your strengths. Like, what does it feel like to live like that, as opposed to something where it sounded like when you were on a more traditional path, things felt less in your control and perhaps more frustrating. So what is your like your life then and your life now? What is the difference?
My life now is just so much calmer. I feel more confident in my own abilities. I'm incredibly grateful more than anything. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude for the fact that I figured out early in my career that I didn't want to be part of the industry side of things, and that there was a difference between art and industry. The craft and the industry. And so I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to be able to do what I do and have it be on my terms and provide a living.
That's beautiful. And I completely agree. Kind of being able to build my own channels and live on my terms, I think was really helpful for my personal development. And it depends on what kind of person you are, right? I don't want to come across like I'm preaching and everybody needs to have a YouTube channel. But if you're listening to this podcast, then you're probably interested in starting such a channel. And I have found that it helped me on a personal level, expressing myself better, being more comfortable in conversations. There's something about kind of showing up and being on camera that as an introverted person, it was therapeutic for me to, just get,
I am
for
too.
those
Me
listening,
too.
he raised his hand.
Big time introvert. Yep.
Yeah. So there is a sort of I don't know, you're practicing talking to everyone and no one at the same time, and there is something that I don't know, I feel like there's a part of my brain now that can sort of turn on and off for social interactions. And I'm not saying I'm like a robot when I'm talking to people, but I just think I am more comfortable now just speaking with people. Social anxiety has decreased in a very significant, real way. So this is another side to YouTube, I think, that can really help people out. And I always am trying to throw it out there like, hey, introverts, this could help you out. Just saying.
Exactly. I agree.
And so you found this as well. Like, how long did it take of like making videos where you felt like it did start making a difference in how you were able to show up to a kind of everyday social interaction?
Well, what was weird for me was I had two different video projects that I started right around the same time. One was Tech Talk, more international based. And at the time, I was living in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and I started this other video project under the name of Droning Provincetown. And that involved me. If you've never heard of Provincetown, it's like one of the biggest LGBTQ destinations on earth. Summer is massive there. There are theme weeks. And what I started doing is I started filming all of these theme weeks, and I would create these musical montages. I'd get random people who were there lip syncing, dancing, all sorts of different things. And then
That's
I'd
cool.
edit the living shit out of it for 14 hours until it was this grand masterpiece, and then, die for about a day while I recuperated. And they would be done to all pop music, and there'd be drones and everything. It was a wonderful project. But as you said, I am an introvert. So it was nice that I could have my little way of being able to kind of come out of my shell and then go back. So
Yes, yeah.
that kind of, it helped me be able to be in a crowd without actually being part of the crowd, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I mean, but it takes time to refine your craft and figure out how to do the best job and what people respond to. And so it's just been a trial and error process, frankly.
Sure. And you've been doing this for many years now. I'm curious, like, what is the weirdest, most bizarre tech support situation that you've been asked?
Oh dear. Okay, I'll answer it truthfully, but it's explicit. Is this okay?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So I've done tech support for literally thousands of people. Okay. There is nothing that can usually shock me. Like for something to come up, for a question to shock me, it takes quite a bit. I also lived in P-Town for 10 years. So that too. So I had one client who I was working with this, and just to make it even more uncomfortable, this was an in-person client. Okay. So I've done a combination of remote and in person, depending on if they're local or not. And of all of the things that I've had people ask me to help them set up as far as like Bluetooth connections, like Bluetooth speakers and Bluetooth connection to the car, I've never had someone before ask me to set up a Bluetooth butt plug. And when I was asked this question, I was like, "Are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, I have to do it now just so that I can tell this story one day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great thing to get paid for.
Yeah, well, that one was definitely not on the list of questions that they provided.
So how difficult was it to set up a Bluetooth butt plug?
It's pretty standard. You just hold a button for 3 seconds and then wait for the light to, blink or it to,
So the same as a Bluetooth
pretty straightforward.
Anything, really.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Well, I am impressed by their openness. I think that's a beautiful thing, and it's the props to that person.
And that's a great question that you probably can't ask someone at the Apple store. I bet people at the Genius Bar don't get that question. Only I get that question inevitably.
You've found a wonderful niche, and I think it's people feel comfortable with you, clearly.
I love doing it, and it's it's especially certain videos that I've done over the years. Like one of the ones that I'm the most proud of is a video that I did on voice control, and that is one of the accessibility features built into the Mac. So if anyone you ever know gets the unfortunate diagnosis of ALS, this technology can really come in handy. And it allows you to control your entire Mac using your voice. Now they can do it just from your eyes. It's incredible stuff. So when you pour your heart into making a video that is not going to get a lot of views, and yet it changes someone's life, that is far that is so much better than, more likes or, comments, I mean, otherwise comments. It's so nice to know that you've made a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, I remember you saying in one of your videos that helping people set up software for people with disabilities or certain challenges, like that was your favorite thing to do because, as
Yeah.
you said, it makes a huge difference for people. Like being able to use technology suddenly by moving your head or whatever.
Hmm.
Now you can kind of tap into the rest of the world, participate in conversations, and that is really important. And I'm glad that you can set things up with that. Because I've always seen kind of those accessibility features, and I fortunately have not had the need to use them, but I've always wondered like what that would be like to even utilize that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the things, look, technology gets a bad rap a lot of times, that's what makes the news. But we forget that there's also this good side that's helping people stay connected who otherwise would not be able to. So
Hmm.
I'm really glad to be able to help take that technology that they've made available and explain it in a way that people who need it can use it.
Hmm. Wonderful. And so you've been posting videos for around a decade now, and has the channel kind of honed in on certain topics? Like, have you found a kind of umbrella that you tend to cover? Where did you start with a wider variety and then kind of move into something specific? Or have you kind of just been posting whatever you think is interesting? And yeah, what was that like a strategy? However, you sort of changed over the years. Yeah, what
It's
is
definitely been refined.
the
Yeah, it's definitely
changes?
been refined over the years. There's some topics that I created when I was, early on in my career, and probably wouldn't do them again. But others, I mean, the topic that I think the reason why a lot of people find me is from my videos on helping people organize their photo libraries. One
Mm-hmm.
of the types of videos that my area where I geek out more than anything else is I love creative workflows. If you do this, 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 and this, check out what happens. And it's just that. It's follow these steps and check out what I can do for you. And so in the case of photos, one of my best videos of all time, and I've used this in other videos as well, teaches you how to create something called a smart album. And then I put in these very specific terms, and in no time flat, you can organize your entire photo library. I mean,
Wow.
I have people who hire me to do this stuff, and I can usually do it in about 1 to 2 hours. And it's
Hmm.
incredible how fast the workflow goes. Once you get it set up, it's off to the races. So I
Mm-hmm.
love those kind of creative videos where it's like, there's a lot of topics that every YouTuber talks about out there who's in tech. I love to be able to offer those videos that go a little bit in a different direction. Let's show you how to do something you didn't even know that you could do. Um, Another example is the voice memos app. Okay. I had a client of mine who I was working with recently who was in his 80s. And unfortunately, he'd been given a terminal diagnosis. And his son had just had his last granddaughter, his daughter, rather. So his granddaughter. And this guy comes to me. He's like, look, I'm never going to know this kid. This kid's never going to get to know me. I want to be able to do something to leave to this kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we ended up doing was we ended up using the Voice Memos app to create an audio journal. And I showed him how to
Wow.
structure it, how to create folders, and most importantly of all, how to have that data included in your legacy contact so that it's automatically passed down upon your death. So
Wow.
just
That's
another
beautiful.
example of a workflow. Exactly. There you go.
Hmm. Hmm. And I feel like workflow is super important because there's so many times where I'm working on something, whether it's editing a video or trying to organize things, and it just feels like it takes too long.
Mm.
Surely there's always a better way, especially in this age of technology. Somebody has probably invented something that I'm not using, and that always annoys me because if I had just taken the time to kind of figure it out or do some research, then I would have been able to save a bunch of time. So obviously that's where people like you come in.
Grant, can we geek out for a second?
Yes,
can we
please.
geek out together? What do you use to edit this podcast?
I believe the editors use Adobe Premiere.
Oh, sorry, the editors. So tell the editors to check out Descript.
Oh yeah, I've used.
Oh, have
Descript.
you used it? It's incredible for podcasting. Amazing. The fact that you can take your audio and turn it into text and edit the video like a document. Just incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you can take out pauses automatically, and you can have it put in stock footage or any footage kind of automatically according to a video. Because most video editors, for those who don't know much about editing video, they're based on timelines. So you kind of have the video in a timeline, and it goes frame by frame, and you can kind of drag things around and cut things out. But this, like Descript, this program, it generates a bunch of words that are said, and you can just delete words, and it'll delete that part of the video, like when those words
genius.
are said.
It's totally genius.
Yes. And so this is one thing that's kind of been frustrating me too. So I downloaded the trial and I used it, and it was cool. But I guess, usually the editing I do is kind of more complicated, so I didn't know how to use Descript for that. But for podcasts, as you said, that makes a lot of sense.
It's all about the use. I wouldn't use Descript for anything other than podcasting, but I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who do, but I think that's really where it shines, is the ability to turn audio into text. I actually use it for my videos. I started closed captioning all of my videos, and then I just take the final cut, literally drag and drop it in, and then, double check everything and spit it out, and it's good to go.
Right
so
on.
There you go.
So clearly keeping up with new technology, new software, new trends is really important. Is there like a way that you do that? Are you just kind of on Twitter? Are you what is your process for staying up to date on things?
It's kind of a combination of, there's definitely a couple websites that I check out. Also, I have a few friends of mine who we just get on the phone or FaceTime and we just geek out together.
That always helps.
One person who's become a good friend of mine is this guy, Jeff Greenberg, who, brilliant man, has trained thousands of editors all over the world. He's an expert in every piece of editing software, maybe not every, but close to it. And he's just my geek buddy. And he always finds out about it, and then we talk, and he knows that I'm into the education space. So he's like, hey, I bet your people could really use this. So I can't even tell you how many video topics have originally come from my friend Jeff. But it's nice to have someone like that you can have in your life who is tuned in to the stuff as soon as it comes out, who can then pass on the info to you. But I do Apple One, so I've got the Apple News subscription, so I'm tuned into all the different tech blogs there. And otherwise it's just staying engaged and just kind of trying to stay on top of things, especially when it feels like it's moving at a really, really fast pace. But that's technology.
Yep, it sure is. So now I'd like to talk to you about the business side of your channel. There's YouTube ads, there's the one-on-one sessions that you offer. In what ways have you been able to turn Tech Talk America into a real business that you're able to live off of? Because that's always like, whenever I tell people that I have a YouTube channel, the first question they usually ask is, how do you make money?
Right, exactly.
So how do you make
the
money?
First question every time. Yes. So for me, it's always been about trying to have good diversification so that if one starts to tank, it doesn't really tank, but if it starts to go down, the other can take over. So for me, it's always kind of been split between a couple of different things. Obviously, YouTube ads, it's the easy one. Affiliate relationships. I am very, very picky about the companies that I form relationships with. It's part of the reason why I've only done it with a few companies. And there's a very specific type of relationship that I look for. It's got to be one where I can give a coupon code out to my audience so they have an incentive to support me. Okay. So they save. When they use that code, I get a small commission. the company that I'm, doing the video with, they get a sale and everyone's happy. Those are the kinds of relationships that go really, really well, where everyone benefits. The sponsorship thing, I try to stay away from. It's just one of these things where those relationships can be really, really complicated. Right now, I do have a sponsor for my channel, but we started it as an affiliate relationship and then migrated over to a sponsorship. But you have to value those relationships the same way you would value actual relationships with like your friends or family. You have to make sure that they're right and not just going after the easy stuff. Like, I mean,
why are they complicated?
Why are they complicated? Because the nice thing about an affiliate relationship is if the video doesn't do well, there's nothing, I didn't take $10,000 from them that they are now out. So it's just, it levels the playing field. I guess that's the way I would put it, is it just makes it very, if the video does well, everyone does well. If it doesn't do well, no one's hurt. So that's a big part of it. And then, like I said, the tech therapy sessions, more than anything, I do that because I love it. I love getting to work with people one-on-one. I also do a lot of work with couples. You'd be surprised how many couples I work with. And it's just great to, be a good influence in someone's life, a good resource. So between those three, that's my main income at this point.
Right on. And did it take time to figure that out? Did you feel like you kind of stumbled along the way at any point where you took sponsorships you shouldn't have taken, or you tried to monetize in certain ways and you were like, well, that was maybe not a disaster, but it just didn't go as well as you'd hoped?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's frustrating because there's only so much that you can control. Like, I can't control the algorithm. I can't control if YouTube doesn't show my video to all of my subscribers. Like, that's just the way it works. So again, it's about having a nice level playing field keeps everyone happy. The other thing I should mention probably is that what's helped me is keeping my costs low. So the fact that I film from home, part of my house is now a write-off. So yes. What are my expenses? My computer. I mean, that's about it. And then it's just time other than that. So yeah.
Right on. And so now that you are established, you know what you're doing, you have a business model, it's working. Is there anything new that you're working on? Like something on the horizon that you feel is really different, or perhaps just more of the same, but it's really exciting?
I mean, I like to be very consistent with what I do. I mean, like, do I have ideas for things that I could do? Yes. Will I do them? Probably not, because the thing that you also have to always remember is that time is a resource. And if you spend time doing something, you're not able to spend that time doing something else. And for me, my husband and I just got married recently. And so we're really, we love being able to spend so much time together. I like to give plenty of time to my relationship. So like, yeah, could I do more things? Of course I could, but I don't want to. I'm happy where I'm at. And I think that's a really hard thing to do in life. It's really hard to say, I'm actually really good where I'm at now. If I keep doing this, we're good. So many people get into that mindset of it's got to be more and more and more and more. And it's like, where does that leave you? It just leaves you always unhappy and always unsatisfied. Yes. So I'm like I said, incredibly grateful that I get to do what I love from home, be with the person I love, and do all of this on my terms. That's the dream.
That is a very grounded, healthy perspective, because a lot of people, they do want more and more and more. They are constantly trying to innovate And if that's your thing, that's totally fine.
Mhm.
But if you find something that works and you have a personal life that you truly enjoy, I feel like that is the sort of easiest ticket to contentment and happiness. Whereas if you're kind of chasing clout or, I'm only getting this many views, and you kind of end up not appreciating what you have. And ironically, I think it makes it easier to shoot yourself in the foot because, as you said, like keeping your expenses low is really important. I think it helps you make more grounded decisions. You're not panicking like, how am I going to pay rent or the mortgage? And there's something really powerful about appreciating what you've already built,
Yes.
and what you have. And it's it can be dangerous to put your time into too many new things, at least at once, unless it's something that you feel is really important. But I think you do have to be honest with yourself about, is this new thing important, or is it just kind of is it, am I chasing the dragon? And you don't want to chase the dragon. You never do.
You're not going to win. Right. Exactly. It's about being able to, life really should just be about find something you love, makes the world a little bit better, and then just do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Yep. So, I really, there's a bunch. I think what I would love to do more of in the future is there are some new accessibility features coming out that I would like to be able to take some time and get to know them better. Because, as we all age, things are going to go wrong, and this stuff can make your life better.
What are some of those new accessibility features?
Well, like I said, the one of the ones that I've not done a video on yet is this eye tracking ability, so that you can actually use your eyes to click on your screen. I think that's huge. Yeah, and I'm sure there's more that I don't even know about. These things are coming out all the time. So it's the thing about, thankfully with my job security, it's very, very good because technology is constantly changing. So
it sure is. And do you, I assume you find the rapid pace of technological advancement to be exciting? Like, do you ever find it kind of unnerving, or are you always just like, this is awesome, I'm here for it?
No, there's definitely moments where I'm like, okay, this is really this is kind of a pain in the butt. There was a video that I was debating about doing called 5 Things I Hate About Ventura. We'll see if that actually becomes a thing or not. But sometimes I feel like Apple does this thing where they're just pushing products out to push products out, and I'll give them credit where credit's due. There are some things where they come out and it's like, whoa, that blows my mind. But other things where it's like, really? Did we really have to change all of the settings in Ventura so that we can't find anything? They had to. And yeah. So I think that overall technologies are making our lives a little bit easier, but that there's that other side too. So.
Right. And have you used any of this AI technology, whether it's kind of generating images, or Descript to a certain extent uses AI, I think, to generate the text that you use to edit. But have you used like Chat GPT or anything like that? And what's been your experience with it?
Haven't had a lot of time to use Chat GPT just because I actually just got back from being away for a month. So between my normal work, creating videos, I have not had a lot of time. It is definitely very high on my list of things that I need to explore more of. And I think it's great as far as taking the beginning parts of an idea and giving you a possible path for how to take it. But there's also some pretty scary implications of it too. So, all technology can be used for good or bad. What can I say? So.
Sure. Well, David, we're just over the hour here, and I like to kind of leave the episode with a big question. And for you, like, what is your golden rule? Like, in all of your years on the platform and working for yourself, like, what is the most important thing? Often people will say it's consistency, it's authenticity, it's something in that effect. Like, for you, what what is it? Like, what is the golden rule that you think has carried you to where you are?
The golden rule for me is to not think about an algorithm and to think about the human benefit.
Wholesome.
And I think at the end of the day, it's like if you can do something that helps someone else, that's it. That's it. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about subscribers. I don't care about the analytics part of it. This is much, much more simple for me. I feel more, I guess I feel a little bit more like a teacher who became a YouTuber instead of the opposite. I love being able to hopefully make people's lives a little bit better.
That is beautiful. I think there's a simplicity to that rings true. And you can be a sort of retention demon like Mr. Beast, and no hate to Mr. Beast, but you can hack the algorithm, but you can also just make things that solve problems for people, and that is a surefire way to do well. And I would argue it's just less energy because it flows from you more easily. And then I'm sure you found this, you kind of end up with a more dedicated audience, people who are willing to check out your website and willing to have a one-on-one session where you can kind of give them private help. And that kind of opens up a whole new domain of things. Whereas if you go the hyper retention route, appealing to the algorithm, you end up getting a lot more casual fans, casual viewers. And, that's one way to do it. But I think, I don't know, I just feel like for a simple, happy, healthy business, your strategy is the way to go.
You have to, I just feel like to survive this, you have to have good mental health. And that means putting up some boundaries and making sure that it's not taking over all of your day, so that you do have the ability to enjoy your life, enjoy your spouse, enjoy your pets, get to go on walks. And hey, you're so lucky that you get to do what you love for a living. Are you, like you said, are you Mr. Beast? No, but I don't really want to be. I wouldn't want to be. I'm really happy where I'm at. And for anyone else out there who's an aspiring video creator, that's it. Just take what you love doing and put that love out there into the world.
Well, there you have it. I think it's beautiful. I love it. His channel is Tech Talk America. Go check him out, and he will help you out. His channel is techtalkamerica.com. And I got that right? I didn't,
You got it.
Okay, cool. It's like, oh no, it's a tech talk doc. Yeah. So check it out, everybody.
And don't dictate it, because it just turns it into TikTok America.
Oh my God.
Which really sucks, by the way.
I'm sure. Wow. TikTok is just, it has its tendrils and everything. But seriously, David, this has been great. Check out his channel, everybody. And with that is a wrap. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.